about Jerod Mayo and whether or not you need to reconsider at some point whether he is the guy to be your head coach going forward?
Oh, very simple. We give Robert Kraft a hard time for telling everybody he decided on Mayo 5 years ago, right? Like, you still had Bill Belichick. They just won a Super Bowl. Why are you talking about that? Why would we give Robert Kraft the go-ahead to do the exact same thing if indeed he thinks today Jerod Mayo is not the coach of the future? If he just keeps him because it would reflect poorly on him, wouldn't that be the wrong way to run the business, especially if you have Drake May now, who appears to be the guy, going to have to wait another year until you bring in the coach that would be here for the foreseeable future?
Well, Wiggy always goes immediately to the rookie coach excuse.
First year head coach.
And I understand that.
Right.
But
there's
But what can you point to when it comes to Jerod Mayo?
Right.
So far this season.
Right.
That has shown you that you think he will be a great head coach.
But how can you say that with any losing first-year head coach? How could you have said that with Bill Belichick in his first year with the Patriots? How could you have said that?
Well, I wasn't doing this when Bill had his first year as a head coach in Cleveland.
All right. Well, Dan Campbell.
I wasn't in Detroit monitoring what Dan Campbell. I'm just asking you.
Right.
What have you seen from Jerod Mayo that makes you so encouraged about him at the helm of this franchise?
Well, I haven't seen
the next 5 years.
I haven't seen anything glaring that I'd be like, oh wow,
What have you seen? Like, what has Jerod Mayo done? Which you say, all right, well, that's a guy that I have full confidence in as the head coach of the franchise for the next 5 years.
There hasn't been anything really. But what have you seen to go? He doesn't.
I would say a positive for him is I think that all the players do still play for him. Like I truly believe that, and anybody that you talk to within the organization says the way in which he handles players off the field with whatever they're going through or mistakes they've made. Or
you look at that team and say they're playing for him.
Not playing.
They played one game when he called them soft. They came out and they played.
Yeah, I'm saying
the next week.
I guess more so whenever we are critical of Jerod Mayo with a player, they're very quick to stand up for him. And I don't necessarily think you get that with every team.
And I would say the argument on Wiggy's side, because I tend to side with Wiggy on Mayo as a general rule, I think he's gotten really dealt a crap hand by Robert Kraft and Elliott Wolf. Go back to the way the Patriots blew doors 2 years ago of the Lions with Bailey Zappi. And Dan Campbell was a punchline. We mocked him mercilessly, and he deserved it. He was a big talking boob at the time who was writing checks his players couldn't cash, however they say that. And now he's the toast of the town. And so there are bumps along the way, and Bill Belichick inherited an 8-win team and won 5 games in his first year. Jerod Mayo was likely to at least even and match the win total of the year before.
And I'll steal this one from Curtis, because you asked me what do I see that makes me go, okay, he gives me like a positive outlook. What gave you a positive outlook last year from Bill Belichick that would make you say you need to keep him as head coach?
I'm fine with going down this road.
No,
it's not what we're talking about.
No, but if Bill you're asking,
but this is the most.
Okay, so you don't want to answer that.
I'm not saying
that
Jerod Mayo is not going to be a great coach. I'm not saying that.
Okay,
I'm asking you.
Okay,
because the question came up and Curtis brought it up during his lead to tell me one thing that has really encouraged you about what he can be in the future, and you're struggling to come up with
it. So then you tell me, if you don't want to go to Bill Belichick road, tell me one thing that leads you, that would make you say he doesn't deserve a second chance.
I feel like at times he is coaching scared. So I feel like at times he is, when it comes to a decision in a football game, he is not making the decision that I feel like he should make if he were out there with a vast knowledge of from a head coach perspective of the ways to win football games. I feel like the defense under Bill Belichick.
Oh, don't go back to Bill.
Was able to.
You can't. You just said we can't go back to Bill.
I'm not trying to have an argument with you.
No, but Greg, you're asking me.
What is it?
and then you get upset.
I feel like he cannot I won't mention Bill. I feel like he has not found a way for the defense to manufacture pressure without personnel at any time this season on a quarterback.
They had 9
do
sacks.
You agree?
No, they had 9 sacks 2 weeks ago
against the Bears. Okay,
so
great.
there you
That's
go.
Great.
So
Great team.
Greg, what I'm
not interested. I'm not in this to have an argument.
No, but
I don't know
it's
why,
not about an argument.
I'm not insulting a family member.
No.
All I'm asking is.
But
you're very high on the guy.
No,
you're high and normal, but high on the guy.
Right.
Why? That's all I'm asking.
I just told you.
I don't know why it's bothering you.
I think it's
why
not.
Is it bothering you?
No, it's not bothering me. What bothers me is that people always go, you included, oh, he hasn't done anything. Then
I'm asking you because you're so high on him going forward to tell me what has really impressed you. Why is that difficult?
2 weeks ago, they had 9 sacks.
Okay, so that's one thing that really impressed you. 9 sacks against the Bears.
A couple weeks ago, they looked like they were headed in the right direction. They were playing better. The beginning of the season, they were one of the least penalized teams in the NFL. There are a few things right there.
That's all I was asking.
I also think that if we, not to go back to Bill, but to go back to Mac, there were a lot of times where people were arguing in favor of Mac, saying, well, I want to see what Mac is like when he has a weapon, or I want to see how who Mac is if he has a good offensive coordinator or a good quarterbacks coach. I want to see who Jerod is when he doesn't have a beat-up defense, when he doesn't have guys injured. Like there's always ways to make excuses for people, especially in their early years of playing or coaching. And I think Jerod Mayo has that on his side right now. So
when is he not going to have a beat-up defense? That's everybody in the NFL.
Well, I think that this one, I think the Patriots defense was pretty banged up pretty early on, and I think that if you were to ask him, he always goes back to that. So I think that Jerod Mayo's able to get another season under his belt without people with pitchforks going at.
But the thing about it that like it's not like it upsets me for the whole day, but just in the conversation, the thing that I have an issue with is people will say, "Oh, he doesn't deserve a second chance," and then I'll say, What has he shown you that you go, this is the reason why this guy don't...
I keep telling you things.
But you're not telling... All you said...
I think they're very... Okay, that's a specific football thing.
Okay.
I think in general, they're a very undisciplined football team, on and off the field. Undisciplined. Okay. You agree?
I would say at times, yes.
Do you have wide receivers all season long complaining about how they should get the football all the time, telling you they have the best hands in the NFL and they don't?
Right.
Do you have guys that are getting in trouble off the field? Do you have guys who are questioning the offensive strategy of the football team in the public left and right?
Yeah.
That's it. And then do those same guys go out and commit penalties left and right? That's undisciplined.
Yeah.
Is that the job of the head coach?
No. But that's
discipline.
That's the case of most losing head football teams.
Okay, I'm not talking about most. I'm just talking about
so undisciplined, I would say at times they could be undisciplined. Are they one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to penalties? No, they're in the middle of the pack. So I think he's done a good job with a team when it comes to penalties. Have they had some penalty issues these past couple of weeks? Yes. Off the field discipline, I would say, other than the Jabril Peppers and Christian Barmore situation, which he apologized about, those were 2 issues. And the Christian Barmore one, all right, I didn't even have a real big issue with, like, he wasn't doing something that was so egregious where you're like, this guy doesn't deserve to be on the team. He did a dumb thing and let his frustrations get the best of him.
And I mean, you got an offensive lineman who up and quit, walked out, left.
I put that more on Elliott Wolf.
Okay.
That's on the
that was the wrong acquisition. But I would just say, if we all graded, like my mac and cheese is probably the worst today. I apologize. If we were going to grade roster talent, just everybody, an impartial observer, you don't know what the team is, you just see the collection of players. Would we all agree the Patriots are at or 1 away from the bottom in terms of talent?
Yes.
Okay. So if the team is the least talented team in the NFL, which I believe they are, then if they don't have the worst record, would you be able to say that their coach is the biggest problem?
No,
you'd say the roster was the biggest problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always said. He has been given a very, very difficult job to do. He is playing with one hand tied behind his back, and I blame that on ownership and the front office. So when you say, does this guy deserve another year? Yes, he does, because he wasn't given a fair opportunity with the roster that he was put in place with. The same way we gave Mac another year. So that's where when people are like, and I heard Jones and Keith talking about it, like, oh, he should get fired. He's not an Urban Meyer coach where it looks like the place is an absolute zoo and you're like, all right, get this guy out of here. He's not like a Freddie Kitchens who was a one and done. I think that Mayo deserves another chance. And the fact that we're talking about it is we don't know how good he'll be or he won't be. But one and done? Come on, you got to give me more than they have some penalties.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we know where you stand.
Mm-hmm. And we know where you stand.
Right. Yeah.
You want him gone after this year.
Well, I'm not sure that he's the. I haven't seen a lot that shows me he's the right guy.
Right. So you would move on.
I think
from
he's
him.
a very nice man.
Right. And we're not talking about his personality.
I
you would move on
think
from
he's
him.
because I think you have a limited time with in which you have Drake May that you're not going to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars for him if he becomes what everybody thinks he's going to be.